I've seen men believe leadership belongs to the untouched, to the strong, to the flawless, but history doesn't agree. Philip of Macedon didn't rule from a throne, he ruled from scars. One eye gone, a leg that never healed right, a body that carried every mistake it survived. Most men would have stepped back, said, "I've done enough," said, "Let the younger ones lead." Philip didn't, because war doesn't ask if you're comfortable, and leadership doesn't wait for recovery. He understood something most never do. Wounds don't remove authority. They define it. Every scar was proof he'd already paid the price. Every limp reminded his men, this king stays. Not because he was unbreakable, but because he didn't break in. And that's the first lesson by this fire. You don't lead because nothing touched you. You lead because you were touched. And you stood anyway. This is where the doctrine begins. Men tell themselves a quiet lie. When I'm ready, when I'm healed, when everything is in place. That moment never comes. Perfection is not a standard. It's a delay tactic. History wasn't built by men who waited to be flawless. It was built by men who moved while unfinished. Philip never woke up whole again. The eye didn't return. The leg didn't forgive him. If perfection were required, Macedonia would have stayed small. Alexander would have inherited nothing. Perfection teaches hesitation. Imperfection teaches urgency. And here's the truth most avoid. Waiting to be ready is how ambition dies quietly. The world doesn't reward polish. It rewards our prisons. So if you're damaged, good. It means the excuse is gone. Perfection is a myth told by men afraid to begin. That's the second lesson by this fire. Men don't follow perfection. They admire it. They clap for it. But they don't follow it. Perfection feels distant, untouchable, unrelatable. A wounded leader is different. A scar says, "I've been where you are." A limb says, "I didn't escape the cost." Silence says, "He carry more than I show." Philip's men didn't march because he was strong. They marched because he stayed when strength failed. Anyone can command from advantage. Few can command from damage. That's why wounded leaders don't need speeches. Their presence explains everything. Men follow those who've already paid the price, because it means they won't be abandoned when the bill comes due. That's the third lesson by this fire. Pain doesn't disqualify leadership. It qualifies it. Most men confuse damage with decline. They see a crack and assume collapse. But damage is an event. Decline is a choice. Philip lost an eye. He didn't lose direction. His leg failed him. His judgment didn't. Damage teaches you where not to waste strength. Decline wastes what remains. This is where weak leaders disappear. Not when they're injured, but when they decide injury defines them. The strong adapt. They change stance. They change pace. They don't surrender command. History favors men who learn to fight differently, not those who wait to fight the same again. So remember this lesson by the fire. Damage alters the body. Decline abandons the mission. Choose carefully which one you accept. Enemies look for shortcuts. They count stars. They measure limps. They whisper, "He's slower now." That's how they lie to themselves. Weakness is visible. Discipline is not. Philip's enemies saw what was missing. They never asked what had replaced it. They mistook restraint for hesitation. They mistook patience for fear. And by the time they understood, the line was already moving. Most defeats don't come from strength. They come from assumption. When enemies underestimate you, they don't prepare. And unprepared men don't survive contact. Fire snaps. Silence stretches. This is the fifth lesson by the fire. Let them misread you. Correction arrives soon enough. In quiet camps, no one asks for resumes. They look at how a man stands, how he listens, what he doesn't say. Scars don't demand attention. They don't introduce themselves, but soldiers notice them anyway. A scar says, G stayed when others fled. It says, In didn't learn this from books. It says, In she survived the lesson. Philip never pointed to his wounds. He didn't need to. Men follow experience they can feel, not stories they're told. That's why true authority moves without announcement. It's recognized, not declared. This is the sixth lesson by the fire. You don't prove yourself with words. Your scars already did the speaking. The fire stays lit. We continue, no rush, no breaking. Weak leaders raise their voices. Strong leaders lower the room. Authority doesn't shout. Aid settles in. But Philip didn't need to be loud. His presence adjusted men's posture. When a leader speaks calmly under pressure, everyone else learns how to breathe. Noise is insecurity leaking out. Silence is control holding steady. If you need volume to command, you don't command yet. Strength fades. Discipline doesn't. When youth leaves, structure takes over. Philip didn't rely on speed. He relied on formation. When your body can't save you, your system must. This is where undisciplined men collapse. When power is no longer enough, build a discipline before strength leaves, or it will leave you with nothing. Leadership absorbs pain quietly. The doubts, the fear, the responsibility no one else sees. Kings don't complain because complaint spreads weakness. They endure because endurance stabilizes others. Philip never shared his worst moments. He carried them so his line wouldn't feel them. Leadership is paid for in private, spent in public. Talent flashes. Endurance stays. History is filled with gifted men who quit early and stubborn men who outlasted everyone. Philip wasn't perfect. Endurance is unglamorous. That's why it works. The man who stays wins, not the man who shines first. Every leader meets this moment when the body says no, but the mission remains. If your identity is only strength, you collapse here. Philip redefined himself before he had to. That's why betrayal didn't end him. Build your identity deeper than your body. True warriors don't mock defeat. They recognize resistance. They honor cost. Philip didn't need enemies humiliated. He needed them understood. Respect is not kindness. It's accuracy. Mockery is for the insecure. Respect is for those who know the price. Retreat is not panic. It's timing. Cowards flee without purpose. Strategists step back to return stronger. Philip knew when to press and when to preserve. Survival is not weakness. It's preparation. Not every step back is surrender. Some are alignment. Most men wait to heal before they move. History doesn't. Philip didn't pause the mission until his body felt right. He adjusted the mission to the body he had. Legacies isn't built at full strength. It's built while compromised, while tired, while injured, while doubted. Waiting to be whole is how time outruns you. Philip moved anyway, and the world adjusted around his movement. You don't need to be whole to move forward. You need to move forward to become whole. Strip everything away. The eye, the speed, the strength, the youth. What remains? If the answer is nothing, you were never ready to lead. Philip lost much, but what remained could still command clarity, discipline, resolve. That was enough. It's always been enough. Final doctrine: by this fire. You are not what you lost. You are what remains. And if what remains can stand, then it can still lead.